All right, Miss Amy. That's right. All right, everybody, it is 9 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and call today's Tourist Development Council meeting to order. It's January 24th, 2024. It's 9 a.m. If everybody could please stand for the pledge and a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And we just take a brief moment of silence, break for a few seconds of individual prayer, reflection, and meditation. We also take this time to honor and remember our first responders and the men and women in the military who keep us safe locally and protect our freedoms at home and abroad. Thank you. All right, a couple different, I guess these are typical notes that I have to read into the record. One is item 6A from last meeting, Lisa Robinson of Hampton by Hilton did not participate in that vote and abstained. And also note that we have two absences today. Johnny Lugerai and Daniel Mundrine are excused absences today. Other than that, we have everybody else in a full board quorum, so appreciate everybody being here. I know everybody's looking for Dave to be here, but Mr. Sullivan is in attendance, but I'm the new face right now for the TDC. I'm glad to be here. It's an honor. Look forward to it. I've been spending a lot of time with Ms. Lukasik trying to get up to speed and watch the last meeting just to make sure there was a good progression. And I just want to compliment everybody here. You're doing a great job for tourism and appreciate your commitment and time. So thank you. We have meeting minutes have been submitted. I look for any comments or changes to the minutes, and if there are none, a motion.
I make a motion, we approve.
Seconded.
All right, I have a motion by Ms. Cook, second by Mr. Clufus. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? Meetings pass. We'll go to item 3, which is financial reports, and Ms. Lukasik will lead that.
Thank you. You'll see on your screen the most recent revenue collections. Over here, we have the past 3 months. I will remind you, so even though we have collections for December, it is the activity that happened the month prior. And for December, we were pretty much flat. Right now, we're trending about 2.5% down. And I know that's what everyone's feeling countywide, regionally, local tourism businesses, and the state as well. So just for an exercise, what I did is I went back kind of pre-COVID, and I took the first 3 months just as a comparison. And the first 3 months in October, November, December of 2019, so pre-COVID, we collected $430,991. So then when I compared to where we're at this fiscal year at $751, we are still up compared to 2019, up 77%. So I think that's what a lot of businesses are looking at when they're trying to gauge their revenues, because, you know, that's just as relative as when you come over here comparing May and June. Well, it's, you know, we're up 537%. Well, yeah, well, look what you're comparing it to. We were shut down practically. So it's all relative. So I encourage people to, in the smaller businesses, to look at your numbers pre-COVID as probably a more accurate gauge of where you're at. Now, the difference, of course, is inflation is a lot different than it was in 2019. The workforce challenges and pay that comes with that is a different variable, of course, but I just at least wanted to share just from a straight revenue perspective comparison that if we were to compare pre-COVID, we would be up 77%. That's all.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on the financials? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and take a motion to approve the financial reports.
Move to approve. Second?
I have a motion by Ms. Walker, second by Ms. Cook. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll move on to the marketing reports, and I believe Ms. Courtney will do that for us. Thank you.
Okay, so in September, our organic engagement time on the site was up 27%. So the month before it was 1 minute and 18 seconds, and it went up to 1 minute and 24 seconds. It's how long they're spending time on the website. And then there were 109 visitor guide requests and 99 newsletter signups. And in October, our organic impressions were up 18%. And again, organic impressions, that's when people put in a search term and they find our site. And our top partner referrals for October were Equestrian Adventures, Princess Place Preserve, and Bulow Plantation RV Resort. And in November, the top areas of organic search were Things to Do, the A1A Garage Sale, and Princess Place Preserve. The top organic blog was Where to Eat for Thanksgiving. And then overall traffic was down by 62% year over year in November, and that was directly related to the webcams. We had several storms last fall that boosted the webcam and page views at that time. So good weather this year, but that means we're down on those webcam views from all the looky-loos. And then in December, our organic traffic, again, that's when people put in a search term and find our site, increased 7%. Blog posts as a whole drove 5,658 organic sessions. They were up 40% year over year. And 4 out of the top 10 blogs focused on seasonal content. That means that users are taking advantage of the blog while they're here in the destination. And the top out-of-state cities to the website were Atlanta, New York, and Chicago. And that's it.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Brokaw? All right, seeing none, I'll need a motion to approve the marketing report.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Clufus,
Second.
second by Mr. Cooley. I like how you guys are spreading it all around.
Piece of the pie.
All right, all those in favor of the marketing report signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, and we have a special recognition. I will let Ms. Lukasik chair this one.
Dave's just seeing it.
Thank you, Amy Lukasik, Tourism Development Director. Commissioner Sullivan, we have worked with you for many, many years now, and you have always been an advocate, not just for our department, but for our industry in the county. You have helped champion many specific initiatives, such as getting the local cultural council up and running and off the ground. You've been advocate and champion, help lobbying to get our Eco Discovery Center built, and many, many more. And so we wanted to give you a little bit something that is reflective of our office. So what we did is we created a postcard that spins, and it's got pictures of Commissioner Sullivan as serving as chair of the TDC. And then when you turn it around, it's got the postcard greeting. It says, "Greetings from Flagler County, Florida." And it says, "Hello, Commissioner. In appreciation and recognition of your service and dedication as chairman of the board for the Flagler County Tourism Development Council, we would like to extend our sincere gratitude for your contributions for the benefit of all the community and tourists that enjoy our destination. We're glad you're here, Flagler County Tourism Team." Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I just wanted to say, no long speech, but I just wanted to say briefly, one of the way this worked was I just let Amy and the group at the tourism office do their job, and everything worked out fine that way. So it was a pleasure serving on the board. Good luck to you. I think it's nothing but, hope and goodness coming for Flagler County in the tourism business, because it's so critical. Overall health of Flagler County is a very healthy tourism condition. As we know, the money that comes into our 5% bed tax is really critical to a lot of programs here in the county and in Flagler Beach, if I may honest, there. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Come on and we'll get a picture with Commissioner Sullivan.
Okay.
Council, yeah, commission style.
I think what do we look like prom?
Very good.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you very much.
Dave, it's a pleasure and privilege.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Well, I'll allow anybody who wanted to say some additional words to Mr. Sullivan. I know he's been a great role model and has helped me to get acclimated to this and given me a few pointers. So I appreciate his dedication and commitment to tourism and to helping Amy. But if anybody else had any words for him, this is the time.
I would second that. I think Commissioner Sullivan has done a tremendous job, and it's been a privilege to serve amongst him. And he's an incredible advocate for ecotourism, and it shows in our community. And you can see the literal impact that Commissioner Sullivan has had on our community. So thank you again.
Just ditto for everybody, but it's been a joy working with you.
All right. Well, thank you again for being here. Appreciate it, Commissioner Sullivan. And we'll get on with the rest of the agenda. Item 6 is the Tourist Development Tax Update. And we have the bright and cheerful Ms. Shelley Edmondson to give us the report.
Morning.
Good morning,
Good
everybody.
morning.
Welcome, Mr. Dance, Commissioner Dance. We're glad you're here. I'm glad to be here. Good morning, and this is working. Oh, there we go. So this is the collection report. I know all of you know me, but Mr. Dance, you're new. Our office collects the tourist
Absolutely.
tax. Okay. So I just wanted to go over the chart. This is kind of the trend chart, just to show you exactly what Amy said earlier. We're collecting more now than we ever did before. So if you look at those pre-COVID numbers, you'll see the trend is still the same, but the collection rate is higher. So we're excited about that. But here's what those last 3 months or the last quarter looked like. Although we are slightly down, as Amy talked about, it's still those single-family homes that are holding it up together. So the single-family homes were up almost 14%. The townhouses and condos were up almost 2%. Everything else was down. I did reach out to some other counties. The only ones I heard back from in time was Santa Rosa and Orange County. And just like Amy said, everybody across the state is down. So Santa Rosa down 7.8% in October, down 3.1% in November. Orange County was down 6.4% for the year, with 7 straight months of year-over-year decreases. So we're doing pretty well. Oh gosh, why does that keep doing that? So here's what the collections look like for October. Slightly up, several $1,000s. We collected almost just over $227,000 for November, which was down. Again, that's the collections for the rentals that happened in October. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And then December, we were up just slightly, about $1,000, a little less than $1,000. So I can't tell you much. As most of you know, it's all confidential, but what I can tell you is how many accounts we have and roughly where they're at. So the actual accounts that we have went up almost 40 extra accounts than the previous quarter. And here's what they look like. So 652 single-family homes, 45 partial homes, or those are the ones that people have on those online platforms and they just rent a room or two out of their home. 23 duplexes, 751 condos or townhouses, 7 RV campground, 16 hotels, motels, the chains, and 48 is everything else highlighted. Below is what those everything else are. And here's where they are. And I've got listed here what the count is now and what it was last quarter. So you can see everybody had a slight increase. So there's 809 in unincorporated Flagler County, 506 in the city of Palm Coast, 198 in the city of Flagler Beach, and 29 in those other municipalities. Is there any questions about any of that? Mr. Dance, we call this internally the Felicia report. She had asked for it, and we were finally able to get that done. So here's what the taxpayer said. We just kind of, I can't tell you who they are or where they're at, but I can tell you kind of what they said. And here's one that says, was expecting people to book for Biketoberfest, but they just did not. Or things are super expensive, food, gas, house insurance, vehicle insurance, and it's going into the election year, so that must be why people aren't vacationing like they were before. I had one guy tell me that he lowered his prices on Airbnb and VRBO, and it's still slow. Typically, my customers would book ahead, but I had more last-minute bookings this year. And last, he said, the fall is the slowest season of the year. I'm usually booked every weekend, but not this year. It's super slow. So that's just some of the things that they're saying, the taxpayers are telling us. So as far as enforcements, that's also part of what we do. We go and knock on doors and we post signs on the property. It's not pretty, but it's what we have to do. We did do 5 enforcement actions. We had, in the last 90 days, we had 3 pending tax warrants in which we were able to recover just under $9,000 in taxes and fees. Community outreach, we've done radio in the past and we do different things. You know, we put the mailers in the tax bills every year telling people, hey, if you're doing a short-term rental, make sure to reach out to our office. Most recently, sent out your January online newsletter or the information for the website. So I hope you get some action from that. Oh, and just a little fun fact, I found, well, Renee from our office found this article from the News Tribune from Bunnell back in 1962, and it was an article about vacation rentals. I thought it was kind of relevant to us today, just to get a little insight as to what was happening back then. And why did people not vacation in Florida? Well, because there was lack of time, too expensive in the winter, and it was too hot in the summer. So I thought that was a nice little article. And so, yeah, I wanted to share it with you. And that is all I have for you today. Does anybody have any questions? No?
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm going to open it up here. I'm going to pull up there we go. So everyone can see. As you may recall or may not recall, this time last year, last January, we decided as a board, or you decided as a board, with all the projects, the beach-specific projects that were coming before the county that needed more immediate action, to allow our departments to go ahead and spend the allowable use under this account. And then once a year, they would provide us an update of how the money was spent and where we landed. So with that, this being the first year, we kind of created a basic one-pager report, so you didn't have to get too in the weeds with all the detail sheets, but I'll just give you a brief recap. So in fiscal year '23, we carried forward about $1.1 million. Our TDT revenues were $917,000 in that account. Then we have our interest, the grants that the county received from different agencies, and then other excess fees. Expenditures were professional contracted service. This primarily, I believe, went to Olson Engineering for different dune restoration, shoreline protection projects. That's the mandatory tax collector fees that we pay. Transfer to debt service was paying off the bond loan that we did a few years ago. $130,000 to Army Corps of Engineers. This went to for sand in the Flagler Beach project. Grant expenditures $10 million and reserves $381,000. The plan for this fiscal year, 2024, projecting $850,000 in revenues, $3,000 in interest, $220 for those professional Olson Engineering services, our bank fees, tax collector fees, and then the county is purchasing a drone. So because part of the efforts will be to help monitor the beach erosion and any damage so we can get there as quickly as possible up in the air, half of that expense will be coming from the Fund 111 Beach Fund. So that's the recap of the beach fund expenditures. And if you have any specific questions tied to the detail reports that were in your packet, I have the folks from finance who can help answer that. If not, we can move on to our coastal engineer with a brief update.
On Fund 111 or 1111? What do we call it? 1111?
It's 11:11 now, yeah.
1111. All right. Seeing none, thank you for being here from our budget office. And Ansley has a report for us. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Ansley Renke, Coastal Engineering Administrator, Flagler County. Yeah, so I just wanted to give you a brief update on what we accomplished last year as part of the Beach and Dune program. So we built an 11.4 mile dune. It was built from the river to sea preserved up in Marineland through all the way down to the southern end of Beverly Beach. The total cost was about $22.7 million. And we completed this between January and December of last year. The FDEP gave us post-Nicole recovery emergency funds, and they provided funding at 100% with 0% match. 5 miles of that dune was built with this money, totaling $8.7 million. And then the rest of the 11 miles was funded by FEMA, and that was $14 million. And FEMA and FDEM, Florida Department of Emergency Management, picked up 87.5% of the cost of that $14 million. And again, that was 6 miles of dune. So that was last year. 11.4 miles was built. Looking forward, we're looking at the Army Corps of Engineers project starting in the summer, July of this year, in the city of Flagler Beach. That's a $32 million project. I'm sure you're all familiar with that one. We are also moving forward with activities to modify a permit to extend our beach nourishment permit that we have in the city of Flagler Beach north through Beverly Beach, Painters Hill, and then north of Varn Park. So we want to potentially do a beach and dune nourishment project all the way up past Varn Park. So we're moving forward on that, and that should take about 12 months. And one other thing that we have going on that's going to be released February 12th is a countywide survey. It's going to be going out through text messaging We want to make the public aware of this so that they know when they get the text that they don't delete it. It'll have the Flagler County logo on it. It's confidential. It's a short survey to all business owners and residents. And we are looking for input and how their willingness to support the beach management program here in Flagler County. So please be on the lookout for that February 12th.
And all residents?
Residents and business owners.
Okay.
Yes. And then if the business owners don't have it, because it's coming through the cell service, text messaging, if they don't have a cell phone, we'll use direct calling as well. Yeah. So please be on the lookout for that.
Are there any questions on the
I
from
just
Ms.
have
Ansley?
a statement. I'm on the Marineland end,
Okay.
and you all did a magnificent job with those dunes. I don't know if anybody's gone out to look at the dunes, but instead of us being shelved, it's a gradual. And I see the waves come, I see them go, and I see the sand stay. So,
Yes. I noticed that too. That 4-to-1 slope worked really well.
Yeah.
The waves just come right up and go back down, and it doesn't erode it and create that scarp there. Yeah.
perfect. So thank you all for thinking outside the box with that.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Yes, you're welcome.
How are they holding up?
Well, it varies throughout the 11 miles in different areas. Some areas look wonderful with very little erosion. Other areas, there's probably about half of it left. And it depends on when it was built, too, because we started last winter. So the areas that were built earlier, they've seen more storms, right? So there's going to be more erosion in those areas. But for the most part, we still have a continuous barrier. It's doing its job.
Okay.
One further question, just from a technical implementation. How long is the survey?
Oh, okay. So it's going to last about 3 weeks.
Oh, I'm sorry. How many questions are on the
Oh,
survey?
how many questions? Approximately 10 questions.
Okay,
It'll-
we do
it's-
something similar at the city. I was just curious. That's cool. Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Ms. Ansley. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And would we be able to, sorry, one more question. When the drone is active, will you be able to give us some of that analysis and data
Yes.
just so we can
Yes.
see the return on the investment?
Yes, for sure. So I've been working with Bruno. It actually went out to the beach yesterday, and he was talking about and showing me all of the photos that he's going to be able to get. And we have a LiDAR package. And what we're going to do is try to pull it into a format, get it on GIS so everybody can see a product. Yeah, that is useful.
Because that would show kind of the areas from an aerial perspective that are being
Eroded
eroded
more.
more quickly than others.
Correct.
All right. Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, moving along. We'll go to item 8, which is the Palm Coast Southern Recreation Center update. Miss Amy, are you leading that one?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. Again, this is first time we're seeing something like this. As you recall, back in 2022, the city of Palm Coast received our first revised capital project grant for expansion of the Palm Coast Southern Recreation Center. And it is going to be finished here any moment at the beginning of February. So be on the lookout for an invitation from the city to attend the grand opening. They are getting ready. They're going to have the USTA tournament in mid-February. So they've got a lot of new ideas that they've started to implement. We've already started meeting with how to capture hotel rooms and get people to take the surveys. So I just wanted to give you this last report. And if you didn't have a chance to look at the pictures, it's really coming along. Here's the showers and locker rooms. That was the addition, pickleball, some landscaping. And we also, last month, finalized the funding agreement. If you'll recall, this is a new component that we have. So every project from the Capital Project Grant Program, there will be a funding agreement. And this is the security, the reassurance to you as a board that the applicant has produced or doing what they said they were going to do, because that's how you awarded the funds. So For your reassurance, this section here, section 8, this second paragraph, if the project is unable to demonstrate its estimated economic benefits as presenting in its grant application during the 3 years following completion of the rec center, then the grantee must continue to provide project impact reports to the county and must also provide a detailed explanation of the measures the grantee is implementing to ensure the project will meet its estimated economic benefits. If within 5 years following the completion of the rec center and opening to the public, grantee is unable to demonstrate its estimated economic benefits have been achieved, then the county reserves the right to seek reimbursement of grant funds from the grantee up to 50%. So, of course, that is not what we want, and we continue to work with them to reach those numbers, those hotel rooms. But again, this is something that was giving board members, TDC board members, a little bit of heartburn every time we would hand out money. There was no assurance, or nobody was on the hook. And so I just wanted to share this with you so that you can see that we have addressed that. And other than that, I don't have any other update for the rec center project.
I've been out there and rode by. It's a beautiful facility, and it's getting very close, especially with the trailhead. It's a nice addition, so the city's doing a good job. Did you have anything, Mr. Kloufas?
Yep, I was going to say I've also been out there. It is beautiful. It's crazy how it literally looks like the renderings prior. It looks like it's just taken right from the renderings and plopped there. I also wanted to say I commend the county for implementing these clawback mechanisms. I think that's something that is very financially prudent. Maybe not as important when we're dealing with interlocal governments, but I wholeheartedly understand, and I think that's a tremendous step forward in relieving the heartburn per se. But I'm looking forward to I believe it's the 13th year that we're having the USTA event at our Palm Coast tennis facility, and I anticipate this to be the best year so far. So I thank you not only to Amy and her staff for everyone's hard work, but also this board for putting everything in motion. And here we are.
So before we meet again as a board, there'll be a grand opening, a ribbon cutting.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, and everybody will get invitations.
Everyone will have an invite.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Very
VIP.
good. All right, any other questions on that? All right, we'll go to item 9, which is yes, sir. Yes.
Just an update on what I know about USTA. USTA is booked and busy, so we don't have to worry about the rooms. They're booked and busy. I don't have enough, so we're going to show off with the first one. It's gonna
Very
be
good.
awesome.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 9, the Fund 1110, fiscal year 24 discretionary event funding. So we've got 5 items on there. Ms. Lukasik, you gonna brief us on those? Yes, sir.
Just before we get into these specific ones, I was talking with the director of tourism for the meeting, and just for clarity, I was wondering if we could just have a real quick discussion. Normally, the tradition with these events has been there would be a high level of funding as they first start, and then it tapers off through the years. On these particular ones that are up for discussion, I noticed that these are long-time events that have had the same amount of funding year in and year out, and I was curious about that. And just for the public and for our new members, if our director of tourism could give a little clarification on that before we go through them, because there might be some people out there that are watching this that are curious why the funding level stays the same year in, year out, and it keeps coming up.
Okay, sure. And also, I know, right, we have to, if anybody has conflict of interest on these, that needs to be stated in advance too. So I guess I'll ask, does anybody have conflicts on these? Okay. Okay, great. Yes, sir. And we'll do these individually as approvals, the A through E.
Yes.
Do you want to group them?
Well, first I'll address Commissioner Cooley's comments, and then since A and B are the same person, they have a presentation. So we'll allow him to give his presentation, and then we will approve it or
A and B
9A,
together?
9B, yes. And the same for 9C and D, same applicant, different events. So we'll allow him to address each one, and then we'll approve it individually. So to address Commissioner Cooley's comments about this fund, yes, thank you. The opportunity to kind of re-educate and revisit the purpose of how this fund was set up. It's called discretionary event funding. And as you know, we also have special event marketing grant. So there's kind of two different schools of thought. So the special event marketing grant is usually just for that, a special type of event. It's usually a community type of event or a festival that the public attends. The goal, the idea is to get people from out of the county or neighboring counties to drive here and spend their money here. And so we provide support to those organizations to help market that event outside of the county. And that is set up on a point system. And one of the criterias for scoring is how long has this event been going on? So you get less points if it's, been going on for 10 plus years, because that grant fund was meant to do exactly what Commissioner Cooley said. It's almost like an incubator to help get the events up off the ground. Now they can still apply, but after a certain amount of time, they don't get the points in that section. So that's kind of where that criteria that's tied to years being around or coming to us for funding, that's how that funding program is addressed. In the discretionary, it's more of a sales tool for the office for recruiting mainly sports to help fill the hotels, especially the highway hotels, fill the fields. And that's not really a special event that the public would just come and see unless you know someone who is participating typically. And they don't really market and advertise because they have an email database list and their organizations that they send it out to either sign up for the tournament or the conference. And so a lot of these type of groups don't fit into that special event marketing grant. So this was created to help us. It's basically a sales tool. So in some events, there's bid fees. Some of it we look at as budget relief. And one of the main criteria for us is economic impact. So it's almost like, I'll say we don't care how long you've been coming, but that's not a criteria that's really viewed here. It is, what is your economic impact, and where would you best fall in our funding buckets that are available? It's also viewed as, building relationships with a lot of these event and tournament organizers takes years, and Florida's not short of fields or building fields. They're constantly building sports complexes, so they could take their business elsewhere, and that's economic impact we would lose, and it takes a lot of time to build those relationships. So it's almost a no-brainer if they're continuing to demonstrate success. There's an impact. It's helping our hotels, helping our businesses. That's what we look at in this fund, and not necessarily a different criteria that the one I mentioned before. So it's helping to retain that business and keep them here. The first two clients, the first one has been coming, I've been here, 12 or 13 years. He started coming here before me, I think. So the Hammock Beach Resort has been his client. He eventually moved his business here. And so it's building those relationships and keeping the clients here in our county and not leaving. And that's kind of the gist.
That answers it. So
Okay.
thank you for clarifying that. I think it was a refresher was just needed on that one.
Absolutely. Thank you. So will we bring the
Yes, so
presentation
the
up?
first item, I'd like to introduce Mr. Walter Innes. He brings the primary care conference to us, and he can explain a little bit what that is as a refresher. And for your knowledge, Mr. Danson, I will say, without a doubt, this conference is the highest economic impact that we have in the entire county year after year. So
Very
Go
good.
ahead,
Welcome.
Walter.
If you could state your name and the company again for the record.
Absolutely. Yeah. Walter Ennis. I'm with Continuing Education Company.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be here. And usually I come up and answer questions. Today I decided to put a little presentation together just to, give you the opportunity to see what we actually do with the funding that we receive from the TDC. So first of all, there are two conferences, and the history behind the two conferences. It used to be one when we first came here. As an organization, we hold 19 conferences around the country. These are all medical education conferences for physicians, nurse practitioners, and PAs to be able to get their continuing education credits, which they need for relicensing and many other reasons. We hold these meetings for a year in Hawaii, we're throughout Florida, Kiowa Island, and then we're in some of the cities like Nashville, New Orleans, San Diego. We came here, this is going to be our 17th year in Flagler. We originally started this meeting in Captiva Island, and people thought I was crazy when I brought the meeting here back then because it was a new property, an hour and a half from Orlando, and I just felt it fit right. So we just really dove into the marketing and marketing Flagler County as a destination, and we saw some success, and that success has continued. Got to the point where the property was too small for our group, so we decided, well, let's do two conferences rather than holding two springtime conferences in different parts of Florida. Let's do them both here. Sometimes they're back-to-back, sometimes they're separated. It depends on the spring break week. We look at over 800 school districts to find out when, which are the best ones. The attendees, the medical professionals who come with family typically, okay? And we are seeing it averages around 4 people per attendee. So when we talk about attendees for our conferences, and I'll show that on the next page, this is historic data from last year's conference. We had 192 attendees in the first week, 203 for the second week. Combined visitors, it turned out to about 1,460. And we surveyed them and we asked them how many people are coming with you for each conference. The average daily rate was 349. They did not all stay at Hammock Beach. About 30% stay elsewhere, either at condos or at some of the other local hotels. And we wait until that block is filled, and then we start really pushing for them to stay elsewhere. This shows you where they're coming from. It's a national audience. In fact, the 41 that came last year from Florida, maybe 1 or 2 were in Flagler County, so the rest are all from outside. But it's amazing to see, as we branched out to the West Coast with meetings, we're getting more people from the West Coast coming to Flagler for these meetings. We've had years where people have come from Alaska. In fact, one of our Alaska attendees actually ended up purchasing here and comes down here in the winters. And then 5 from Canada. Sometimes we get people from other countries, but last year 5 from Canada. So it gives you an idea. It's a national audience. This year, what we're estimating is 225 attendees for each. That's our goal, and hopefully 1,800 visitors in total. And the ADR went up considerably to $394 a night. We use the TDC funding to promote the conference. Marketing is really important for us. It's a huge focus. Even though we're an education company, there's a lot of competition out there. We're competing against academic centers, medical schools, large CME, continuing medical education organizations who get funding from industry. It's our policy not to accept funding from industry. So there's completely unbiased education when you come to one of our meetings. But it's fierce competition. There are hundreds, not thousands, of meetings that are going on around the country, and we have to get them to come to our meeting. And we've been doing it successfully, but we really focus on marketing. So I thought I'd show you a little bit of what we do with some of the dollars that we get from the TDC, which helps supplement what we do with our own funding. So first of all, at the meeting itself, we invite the TDC, and we're thankful that every year it's usually Deborah who shows up, and we set up a whole station, a couple of tables, where we've got menus on one table from every restaurant we can contact. We've got every type of activity that you could imagine here in Flagler with their brochures there. We invite local local organizations. Like we've had Marineland there, we've had Ripple Effects tours there during that registration period for people to actually sign up right there and then for those activities, right? We don't want to leave it to chance. And that table stays out all week. We invite not just the attendees, but their families to go look. So this is one of our registration periods. You can see Deborah, she was busy there. We also, I want to talk about during the conference, we're also streaming these conferences. And we then take the conference and we make it available online for people who weren't able to travel or weren't able to time their meeting, our meeting time with their free time. So it's what we call a multiplier effect. We're constantly up there. Every morning I'm up there making the introductions, talking about, hey, what did people do yesterday? Did they, go down to Flagler Beach and so on. So we're really promoting during the meeting, the conference, and we're showing videos during the conference. So people who are not here, who are elsewhere, are intrigued about what's happening in Flagler County. And we know for a fact that leads to more visitors here later on because we see that, hey, we saw this last year on your stream and we decided to come. This is one of the many videos that we have where...
Welcome to Palm Coast, Florida, home of our annual Primary Care Spring Conference. You're invited to the Hammock Beach Resort, just minutes away from America's oldest city, St. Augustine. Earn CME credits while relaxing and making memories in one of Florida's hottest destinations. For more information, visit cmemeeting.org.
We're fortunate to have our own in-house production company because we're creating medical content, medical education content. So the most favorite part of their jobs are to actually come to the meetings, and we've got over 2 hours of B-roll just in Flagler County alone. We also take some B-roll that the TDC has given us for some of these videos, and they're on YouTube. We promote them heavily in our email blasts. We promote them on social media. And speaking about social media, we're now doing a lot of reels, which I don't understand why people like them so much, but they're quick and fast. And we have used our own B-roll to create these reels on social media. And like this one here has a resort theme. And they're really short. Let's do this. And we have beach themes. And the whole concept is to highlight what Flagler has to offer if you're attending a conference. And then what I find to be the most interesting part of the county, and the reason why we moved down here, is that you don't have to be at the beach to really, and you get an experience that you won't get anywhere else in most of Florida. Like we're down in Naples next week, we've been to the Keys, but you just don't see the nature the way that it's so accessible here. So we're really pushing that ecotourism to our attendees. So finally, one of the things that we also do is we hold I guess it's a prize drawing, and we ask all of our attendees to send their photos in during the conference. So they're half-day meetings. They're done by 12:15 every day. So we want to see what they're doing in their afternoon. So we encourage them, and we give them $50 or $100 prize drawing. We have usually 2 prizes. And people just start sending their photos in, or they tag us, and they tag Flagler and Palm Coast on their feeds. So this is, these are just quick examples of the type of photos that we received from our last conference here last year. person's enjoying their time. You know, we received hundreds of these photos, okay? And that's pretty much it. That's what I hopefully gives you some insight as to what we're doing. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Anybody? I think it's awesome. You did a great job promoting the county. I mean, you got to be happy, Steve.
I have to say, we benefit, I think, all year round. We also have a property down in the Keys, and CME is there as well. And people come all year long and say, I learned about you from, or I was at, or I saw it online at their conference. And they are very vocal to tell you that they're connected with them. So.
And I got in trouble, I think it was last year, with Mr. Baker here, because the management there told me, hey, how come you're not promoting in-house, on-campus activities and restaurants as much as you're doing the others? But that's what we want them to do. We want them to get out and enjoy the county.
Mr. Cooley.
So in just watching the videos, I gotta point out kind of a faux pas, a little criticism. And by the way, what you do is great. But so in the video and all these shots, you have all these shots of Flagler Beach over and over and over again. And it says, "Welcome to Palm Coast," and then it continues with all the beach shots, and then it says, "Minutes from the oldest city, St. Augustine," with more shots of Flagler Beach. And even in the short, has all these shots of Flagler Beach, and then at the end of it says Palm Coast, Florida.
Right.
And I just think that the shots aren't matching the narrative.
Yeah, so it's really great to point that out. And this is not something that evolved last year, right? This has evolved over time. And we take the lead from the TDC. There were times where, it's Palm Coast and the Flagler Beaches. And it's an interesting thing when even, I'd say the resort, not to pick on Stephen here, but, people think they're coming to Palm Coast, but they realize there's more to it. And when you're marketing, we're not marketing Flagler Beach per se. It is all within the county. And most of our marketing materials will say Flagler County, we push Flagler County. But you don't see other organizations promoting a county as the destination, right? And that's where the conference is. It's an unincorporated part of, it gets tricky. So what do you use? So, and I think we do take the lead. And we've always taken the lead from the TDC because it's Flagler County and the Flagler Beach, Palm Coast and the Flagler Beaches. And we make sure that in all of our marketing materials, we do show the logo, which we're required to do. And we try not to miss that. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but it's definitely, we used to worry about it being misleading too. Okay, this is not Palm Coast. But the fact of the matter is, and we do mention St. Augustine, that's a good point, because people don't know where Palm Coast is. The people who have been coming, the repeaters do, but a lot of people don't know where it is. And it's easier to say, and it's more attractive to say, in my opinion, well, we're 25 minutes south of St. Augustine versus we're half an hour north of Daytona. St. Augustine, and which is another interesting point, how few, the numbers are just so minuscule, how many people who come to our meeting actually make it up to St. Augustine. We always thought, okay, there'd be a greater number, but they don't. They stay here. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's just definitely something.
It really wasn't a question. It was more just kind of pointing that out. Yeah. But what was never mentioned was Flagler Beach, which was all the shots you used. So that was the only thing I wanted to point out.
Yeah. Okay. So.
But Eric, you keep seeing Flagler Beach.
I was going to say, it was on
Right,
every
you see the-
view.
Flagler Beach, Flagler Beach.
Right.
Yeah.
As they're saying, it's Palm Coast.
Right. But also what you're only seeing some pieces that I brought here. Okay. Our social media posts will show probably more Flagler Beach than anything else. Probably Palm Coast is what we show very little of. We'll do restaurant posts. We've got so much social media that's focused on Flagler Beach itself. And we continue to push that as the destination when you're here, where you're going to go out and eat and so on. In fact, most of our B-roll that we have that we've developed ourselves is Flagler Beach. So I guess maybe what I showed today was a misrepresentation of everything that we have. And one more thing is when they're on site, and before they're on site, as soon as they register, they receive an activity guide that we put together. And that activity guide really has a focus on Flagler Beach. In fact, we were there just 2 days ago, and we were talking about setting up a new kind of blog, write a blog specifically about what's going on with really cool things happening next to the new hotel, little shops. I said, let's just focus on these shops in the next blog. And they were all Flagler Beach focused.
Yeah, I didn't want you to think I was hammering.
No,
too
no,
much.
no.
I just saw it as
We expect that from you. It's
what
okay.
what you mentioned, those are exactly the discussions we have internally.
Can you make sure you throw Marine Land in there? You know,
I was going to say.
We're gonna have a meeting.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well, don't ever get rid of the letters. I mean, because that's the best marketing tool out there.
Yeah, right.
hey, Chairman.
And let me just say one more thing. And Flagler Beach is welcome to send somebody to our registration
Yeah.
time as well to help
and they
promote.
never do. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Would you just touch a little bit on the real estate and the doctors that you're trying to get in?
Yeah, so what Mr. Baker is referring to is something that we've been trying to do for a while, and it's starting to gain some traction, which is we know that as a county and as a resident of the county, we have a big issue with healthcare. There's just not enough. And as we're growing, there aren't enough doctors, I should say doctors, but medical professionals in the county to serve the community. And yet we've got hundreds of doctors coming into the meeting. So what we do is we promote internally the county as a place for them to actually move permanently. And my personal doctor came to one of my conferences, fell in love with the area, decided to move from Minnesota. And that's what we're trying to do. And we've had Advent Health there, and we believe we're going to have them there again this year to help promote. So that's basically what we're trying to do.
Okay. Now your address, the physical address for the resort says Palm Coast, right? Is for mailing, is that your address?
That's their
the
address.
problem is they have to promote, as I see it anyway, so that people don't get confused, is you have to promote the location
Yeah.
to some degree where they're going to put in
And,
there.
and that's not unique to Flagler. We have that issue unfortunately, we had that issue in Hawaii on Maui when the fire affected Lahaina. Our resort is in Kaanapali, and yet their address is Lahaina. So people are like, hey, the hotel's on fire. So, I mean, it happens everywhere.
But I think it was a good point in getting with Amy on those times when they're at the resort to make sure that the beach is represented, all the restaurants.
Their menus are all there. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Very good.
Any other
Thank you
questions?
so much
Thank you.
for 17 years of your patronage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we want to continue on or approve these as we go?
I would recommend approving 9A and 9B, and then I'll introduce the next client.
Okay. And individually or separate? I mean, separate or as a group? A and
Separate.
B? Okay. All right. So at this time, we'll take a motion on 9A, which is the $8,000 for session 1 in March.
Motion.
All right. I have a motion by Ms. Walker.
Second.
All right. Second by Ms. Cook. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And we'll do to B, which is $8,000 for the continuing education company, session 2, which is in April 1st through 5th.
Move to approve.
A motion by Ms. Walker,
Second.
second by Ms. Cook. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And now we'll do a presentation on United Flag Football League.
Yes, thank you. This client here, he's only been coming for 15 years. This is Norm McLean. He's been here before, board members, but you may not recognize him. Apparently, he's winning a bet and is growing his hair out, otherwise known as Stone Cold Norm. I believe we first were introduced to Norm from Senator Hudson. He plays flag football. So I'll let Norm just give a brief overview of his 2 tournaments that he's bringing to us this year.
Again, just state your name and the company again, please.
Norm McLean, United Flag Football League.
Thank you.
Yes, we've been coming here for a very, very long time. And I've enjoyed every tournament that we have brought to Palm Coast and the Flagler Beaches. The first tournament we're talking about is in June. It is the Florida Flag Football State Championships and the Hall of Fame ceremony. The state championships are a culmination of tournaments that were put on throughout the year in St. Petersburg, Fort Myers, Palm Beach, Palm Bay, Orlando. I mean, just all kinds of different areas. All these teams range from Miami and Naples all the way up to Tallahassee and Jacksonville. I will tell you this, we do not have a local team. So everybody who comes here is out of area. And then with those teams competing for 2 days and staying here, it's a wonderful environment, a great tournament. We have a lot of fun. And then on Saturday night at the community center, we do a Hall of Fame ceremony where we induct 12 of the old guys, give them some, little bit of a praise that, you were at one time a great athlete. Now you're old and gray. After that, of course, we head to Mr. Cooley's place out at Flagler Beach, and the boys continued their celebrations at all the local bars and establishments on the beach. The second tournament is a tournament where we put on at Wadsworth Park. The first tournament is a 7-man tournament for Florida, and the one at Wadsworth is a 4- and 5-man tournament. In the flag football world, you have 4-man, you have 5-man, you have 6-man, you got 7-man, 8-man, and 9-man. In Florida, you only have 4s, 5s, and 7s. So, we put those tournaments on here. Wadsworth Park's tournament is going to be a Southeast Regional qualifier for the national championships. We just put that on 2 weeks ago in Orlando. We had 357 teams, over 10,000 athletes, and 42 champions. So this tournament here leads into that. And it's basically going to include Florida, Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. And if we can convince some guys out of Tennessee, we get them every once in a while. But this is a huge tournament because it gives everybody in the Southeast somewhere to go, including Palm Coast as being a great destination. Everybody loves coming here because they play football at Wadsworth. They pull out of the park, and within 1 mile, they're already drinking beer and hooting and hollering. So they love this place. So I guess I'm never leaving. But
That's good to hear.
Yes. And Commissioner Sullivan, I'm sorry to see you go. I really enjoyed all the years of watching you sit up here and lead the discussions. So if anybody has any questions,
There's a co-ed.
both tournaments.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. No, both tournaments, the state championships has men's and women's 7-man teams. And of course we induct women into the Hall of Fame. And then the next tournament, the 4s and 5s, that's when all the girls show up.
Hey, Norm, I got an easy question. Do you do like a stay and play? Do they have to stay at certain places, or
We recommend highly, and as I've been in this for 42 years, I've been able to convince the guys and the girls, you really need to stay where I'm at. Now, do I say, you have to stay at this particular one? No.
Yeah.
And with the innovation of Airbnbs and the VRBOs,
I know. Yeah.
I don't even understand how they do that. I mean, I haven't even bought one myself ever. I still like hotels and motels and all that. But yeah, they stay in this area all the time.
Oh. And then on the last one, that 5,000 for the national championship qualifier, is that for a bid fee? Is that what that money's for, Amy?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Thank you.
help offset some of his costs for usually referees
Perfect, yeah.
and his Hall of Fame ceremony.
Thank you.
Where have you held the dinner in the past? The Hall of Fame dinner?
Well, one year what's the name of the place out at the airport?
Well, it was Hijackers
Yeah.
at the time.
Okay. We
You've
did it
had it
there
at-
one year because the community center wasn't open.
Available.
It was being renovated, and it was kind of like last minute scramble.
And then you've
Amy,
had
what are
it-
we doing?
Then you've had it at Oceanside upstairs in their private room.
Right. And then at the community center.
Okay, very good. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I've noticed some of them trickle into the hotel, even though nobody does blocks with me, so I'm not going to abstain. But I noticed that a lot of times that they use like hotels.com. Are you aware of any booking channels that they use or how they do it? Because they kind of just show up.
Yes and no.
And I don't want to have a conflict, like,
Yeah,
because I
and-
never abstain, but then I see people and I'm like, oh,
Well, and
okay.
this is my whole thing with they're adults.
Yeah.
And it's not like a youth tournament where mom and dad are saying, okay,
Okay.
we got this block at the Hilton, we're going to go get it. Because everybody is adult, they book Wednesday before the tournament. So I really, to come and say, hey, listen, I need, 10 room blocks at all these motels, that's a waste of your time. It's a waste of Amy's time. So the adults just do it. But yes, they do hotels.com. They do, what's that other one? Expedia, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
And they'll go shop the room rates, I guess, is the best way to say it.
I just don't want no conflict. I notice them there.
Oh yeah,
know,
no,
but-
they fill your place up, and
Yeah, I
and
notice them.
They go
come.
everywhere. I mean, listen, I try and find a hotel away from the players and the refs, and it's like it's hard
Yeah,
because
because
they're everywhere.
I'm like a mile from Wadsworth, so
Yes.
with Florida Elite and everything, when you do anything at Wadsworth, they come to me. I'm still on the beach side.
Oh, they still come to you even when we're at Indian Trails. Believe me.
I just know what they tell me. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. And it's like all these football players and my executive, she always says, oh no, Miss Lisa, they're grown. They're not kids. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
these
okay.
these are in my Division I. You're talking about professional NFL players, college players, guys that are either trying to get back in the league or just retired and still want to play football. College kids that are, staying in game shape and going back into spring ball. My Division II is guys that played college and weren't great enough for the NFL or anything like that, but you have a major college influence in that division. In Division III, that's the old couch potato guys that in high school said, yeah, I used to have an arm. Let me go out there and see what I can do. And, I said, why are you laughing? That's where I'm at right now. It's like, I think I can still throw one more ball, it's just like, nah, not happening. But, that's, so we're expanding the gamut. And tell you the truth, Florida flag football and United flag football, the NFL knows us. I've been to NFL headquarters in New York. They know us. They know their players play in our league. So, they recommend that if the guys want to take a chance, because, if they get hurt, they lose their contract. But they also stay in game shape before the OTAs. They show up in game ready playing, condition.
Also, just to note, could you just quickly, in 2028, I think the Olympic Committee approved flag football to be part of the Olympics, right?
Yes.
So I can only see this thing getting bigger. Is that fair to say?
I've been in negotiations. Well, I don't want to say negotiation. I've been in talks with the United States Olympic Committee since 2012 to bring flag football to the Olympics. I'm also part of a group that brought it to the NAIA, which now has scholarship sports for women in college. And we're working with the NCAA right now to do the same thing. So you have, University of Florida's got a great football team. They also have a great women's flag football team. and we're trying to get them scholarship athletes. But talking about the Olympics, it's building, along with the fact that a lot of parents don't want their children playing contact. So flag football is hugely growing. It is the fastest growing sport right now in the world, especially with the girls, because you now see Florida was the innovator for girls high school football.
Now the NFL Pro Bowl actually is, instead of the game,
I
it's flag
referee the
football.
Pro Bowl game, the flag football game. I actually referee it. But if you look across the nation now, every high school association in every state is trying to adapt and put together some kind of a flag football program for girls.
Yep. We have it here in the county, both high schools.
Oh, yes. No, your girls have played in our tournaments.
Yeah.
Because in the women's tournaments, we opened it up to high school girls. Just simply put, I mean, you have the older girls, older women, I guess you want to call it, and the young girls who are playing high school, and we put them together so that the girls in high school play a better athlete. So when they go back to go play their other high school competitions, they've already played better athletes and they're more prepared to play.
Very good. Great information. Thank you.
Yep.
I want to go back before we move on to vote for this one. Just want to clarify on 9A and B. Mr. Baker, you abstained. And
That's correct.
I incorrectly stated unanimously, but those
I didn't
had
vote.
your abstention in there for those
Yep.
two. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you.
Right.
All right, we can go to a motion on 9C, which is United Flag Football State Championships and Hall of Fame dinner in June of 2024.
So
Motion.
moved or seconded. Yep.
Motion by Mr. Klufus,
Second.
second by Mr. Cooley. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? No. Okay, that carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll go to item D, $5,000 for the United Flag Football League National Championship qualifier in August 24th and 25th of 2024.
Motion.
All right, motion by Mr. Baker.
Second.
And a second by Ms. Walker. I'm getting the names. Eventually, I'll be really good at it. All right, all those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, and item E is for Flagler Babe Ruth Baseball.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is a new client for us. However, they have been coming, or they are here in the area already and have hosted the tournament here before. And so we were introduced to them, and we went from medical conference to grown men and women playing flag football. Now we'll pivot over to baseball. And I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Forrest Hahn, who's the event organizer for Flagler Babe Ruth Baseball.
Great, sir, just state your name again and the organization.
My name's Forrest Hahn. I'm the president for Flagler Babe Ruth Baseball.
Thank you.
A little bit about our organization. We have been in Flagler County, specifically in Bunnell, for over 30 years, providing baseball to boys and girls ages 4 to 19. I came to the league about 6 years ago. There was a little bit of transition, and then I got voted onto the board to be president through help with the county commissioners, Mr. Dance, Mr. Sullivan, and the other commissioners. We were able to get field upgrades. My third year there, we were able to get the state tournament for the 9s, the 11s, and the 18U for the state of Florida. Last year, we did the 12U state tournament, and then this year, and then through 2026, we've been awarded the contract for the 9s, 11s, and 18s for the state of Florida. We have anywhere between 15 and 20 teams that will come to here. For the 18U, it is the entire state of Florida, so we have teams from Miami, Tampa, everybody in that age group. For the 11U, it becomes all the way from the Panhandle to Sanford, and then there's a few other teams that are in the St. Johns County. The majority of the teams are traveling. They will spend anywhere between 2 to 4 nights here. We have a room block at the Hilton Garden Inn for $169 a night. That's where we're keeping the umpires. For our tournament, our biggest expenditure is paying the umpires. There's a $50 rate per game. We have to have at least 2 umpires, and in the championship games, we have 3. It really just depends the overall cost on how many teams eventually decide to come to the state. There's normally, like I said, about 4 teams that will travel back and forth is really where we push. And then any of our sponsors that, Flagler Fish Company, Oceanside, Funky Pelican, anybody else who sponsors the league, we have all their banners there and everything, and they're in the packet as well to make sure that we're pushing out, for them to come stay. In previous tournaments, there's a lot of families that come. We have 15 players on each team, and there's 3 coaches. So we're looking anywhere between 100 to 200 rooms booked for a 2-day stay at the Hilton Garden Inn and different Airbnbs around. So hopefully, we're looking at $15,000 to $30,000 coming in, being reserved at the hotels, and then their families going out to the beaches and spending time at the different restaurants. So we're looking forward to getting approved for $3,000 to help offset the cost for our umpires so we can, make as much profit as we can. This is, an all-volunteer league. We have 2 paid employees, one who runs our concession stand, and then we have Gene Ryan Bookkeeping, who does all of our taxes and everything to make sure that nobody's stealing, everything's on the up and up, and that we're providing a service to the community. There was a transition about 10 years ago where Little League kind of came in and was part of Palm Coast, and there was monies that went out and there was issues and investigations. So I try to make sure that we keep everything up to board and make sure that we're providing the best service we can for the kids in the community. So that's pretty much it.
Good, thank you. Any questions?
I got one. Forrest, is the date always the same?
No, the
July?
date this year has changed. It is June 26th through the 30th. I just got an email the other day. So it's June 26th through the 30th. But in the past, they have held it around the July 4th weekend.
Okay.
But every year, it does switch based on the dates and what's going on. I like it better this way because July 4th, everybody is normally traveling. So it makes it better for the hotels and the community and restaurants to get a push before that holiday weekend. And that was one of the things that I brought up to them when we had our meeting, like, hey, July 4th weekend, it's going to be tough. Even with the room block, like people are going to come to the beach and experience that. So, yes.
Very good. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good. Best of luck.
Forrest, can you clarify those dates so that they can approve?
Yes.
I've got
June 26th through the 30th
Right.
of 2024.
Okay, if we could just make that part of the motion. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and I'll take a motion on item E. It's $3,000 for Flagler Babe Ruth Baseball, the North Florida Youth Tournament on June 26th through 30th. Motion by Ms. Cook, second by Mr. Baker. All right, all those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstention? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Appreciate all of you being here today to talk about your sports and your organizations. All right, item 10, we'll move on to the quarterly marketing update, and that is with Ms. Brokaw.
Okay, so we'll start with October. In October, our content centered around fall fun with social posts highlighting seasonal activities like the Scarecrows of Flagler Beach and other Halloween-focused events. We also had a blog post about Bulow Plantation Ruins history, as well as its mysterious local legends. And then in October, it was also National Seafood Month, so we talked about a lot of our local seafood restaurants and blogs and social posts. Next slide. Thank you. And for November, we featured a blog post on where to eat for Thanksgiving. If you remember, that ended up being the top organic blog post for the month. We also highlighted unique local stores for a Shop Local blog and social posts. And we focused on outdoor adventures with a blog and social posts on Backwater Cat Adventures and National Take a Hike Day. And then again in December, big holiday month, our content focused on fun food and drink and activities going around. And we highlighted different seasonal food items. You'll see the cute little reindeer donut. It's Willoughby's, and drinks at Oceanside. And then we also had a blog post about the holiday boat parade, which is always a very popular search term to get people to the website. And finally, we have an update on some of the advertising that's running right now in Q2. We have some digital ads. That's the one on the far left, the Travel Spike and Expedia. Those are running on sites like hotels.com. And so they click on that, and then that gets them to our website. And for Travel Spike, we're targeting markets east of the Mississippi and primary DMAs like Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, New York, Philly, and Boston. And on the far right, we also have digital golf ads running in 2 different co-op campaigns with First Coast of Golf. One of the campaigns targets digital repeat visitors that have been to Northeast Florida in the last 18 months. And then in the middle, you'll see the print ad featured in the 2024 Visit Florida Vacation Guide, and our ad highlights ecotourism. That vacation guide is available in all of the Visit Florida Welcome Centers, and visitors can request a mailed guide online. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question for you. So on social media, I'm a part of a few different groups that do prolific posting. One is on camping, so RVs, and both nationally, but in Florida as well. And then the others with e-bikes. So constantly seeing posts about their stays in Flagler, of which I'll respond as kind of the promoter for local, but tag on social media, tag Palm Coast and the Flagler beaches. So how does that come across when those are tagged, or I'm promoting activities and tag you in there? Do you see those, or does it resonate within your own social media when those get shared, or people?
It does. So it's kind of it's a great group effort. So we'll comment. I know I saw someone the other day that had a question about like a place to stay, and so I commented. So it's kind of like the more you share the love, the better, right? For the SEO and whatever search terms and impressions.
So that does do you get to see those though? Do those make an impact on your?
We do. I do get notifications.
Okay.
And I can click and see, and they pop up.
All right. So at least I guess the point I'm trying to make is with others in the community, it's a way of hashtagging or tagging the group into those posts, and especially when somebody is in town, because then they can go to the website. If they click on it, it'll take them to the website, and they can see what's happening.
Right.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. Any other questions?
Courtney, I got an easy question. I heard some people say like the boat parade's the biggest, but is that just, have you heard that? Is that just for Florida, or do they do it on a number of boats that enter it?
I did see that on their on the boat parade website, and so I used that throughout all our marketing blog posts and social posts, because it's a great thing. So it's a big draw.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for the update. Item 11 is our Tourism Development Office update. Ms. Lukasik.
Thank you. I have a few items this morning. One is I just want to thank everyone again for being flexible with switching our date of our TDC meeting. Last Wednesday just happened to fall on the day that it was Florida Association of County Legislative Day up in Tallahassee, so we wouldn't have had anyone here to chair the meeting. So Commissioner Dance and Commissioner Sullivan and Commissioner Pennington, administration, and myself, we went up to Tallahassee to help lobby all the funding priorities for the county. We had these cards here. We were able to meet with Senator Hudson and Speaker Renner to talk about all the projects. Specifically, the reason I was there is, as you know, we're seeking $10 million to help the construction of the Eco Discovery Center. And the county has ranked our project to second priority, so we're thankful for that, and fingers crossed that we receive that funding. Next week is Tourism Day on the 31st. I won't be attending this year since I just went and was able to speak to our representatives at that time. However, I did want to share with you what's going on in the tourism industry with bills. I do have one bit of good news. There are no bills filed that address Visit Florida. So as you remember, last year that was the big item. This year they've hopefully have let them proceed. However, 5 initiatives, tourism initiatives, have been filed. 4 bills have a House and Senate, and 1 is only the Senate. There's only 1 bill that is moving so far, and that is Senate Bill 1748. And what that addresses is it adds the verbiage that it prohibits a tourist development council plan for tourist development, which is required for the allocation of tourist development tax revenue from allocating more than 25% of the tax revenue received for a fiscal year to fund an individual project unless the governing board of the county approves the use by a supermajority vote. So that was heard yesterday, and it received 6 yeas and 0 nays. What that basically means, for example, one fiscal year of revenue. So if we take last year, we did 4.5 million in revenue, no more than 25% for a specific project. That would have been 1.1 million. I don't really see this as applicable to us. This is probably more applicable to the counties that have millions and millions and millions of dollars. And it requires a supermajority vote. So one project couldn't receive more than 1.1 million from last year, if we just use those numbers, unless the Board of County Commissioners voted by supermajority. So I'll keep everyone up to date on everything as I receive information. Last week I didn't get a weekly update, and usually that means nothing has changed. So as we get that information, I'll be sure to share. But just to give you a timeline, March 4th, I think, March 8th, session ends. And so sometime between March 4th and June 30th is when the legislator will send the budget to the governor for his review, and that's when he vetoes his line items. So that's the update on that. FC3, the Cultural Council, we are still working on our strategic plan. Since we last met, we received a data set report from surveys that we did in the community and our cultural partners and historical partners. So if anyone is interested, it's a lengthy but interesting report. But you will see that those results be reflective of whatever the outcome of the strategic plan is when that has been finalized. And also what we've been working on is negotiating a future contract with an advertising agency that won the RFP called Aqua, and they're based over on the west coast of Florida. But what we've tasked with and what we're working on for the scope of work to enter into contract is focusing on specific initiatives. One is we want to have a strong campaign message that is pulling people off I-95 and getting into those highway hotels. Number 2, we're focusing on ecotourism, specifically biking and kayaking and the parks. And the other one is ocean view dining, and that's specifically to help during all this construction and renourishment and all the projects. We want to continue to pull people to go and visit those restaurants and shops. And we'll also continue to promote our beaches. So hopefully next meeting, we'll be able to give you that final contract of where we landed. We also have posted about 2 weeks ago, we have an open position, a marketing media manager. So anyone you know looking, please send them to our website. Also, our international associations called Destinations International that we're a member of. We receive professional certification. I'm working on that. But also, I was selected to serve on their advocacy committee. So we have our first meeting next week. I'm very excited about that. Always learn the most from your peers around the country. And also, I'm participating this year in the Northeast Florida Regional Council Leadership class, along with Commissioner Dance. So we'll be spending a lot of time together. And it's probably like a 7-month program. We go to different counties, and there's like almost like a field trip and different focuses. They will come here to Flagler County in a few months. And on the agenda is the Sea Turtle Hospital, Whitney Lab, and I'm going to give a presentation as well on ecotourism and the center. Okay, the next thing I wanted to share with you is some data. Let me cue it up. All right, you may have recalled where I talked about a recent vendor that we brought on called Arrivalist. And this is going to help us in a lot of different areas. And I will preface this presentation by saying that it is a lot of data and information, layers upon layers. And I'm still learning the dashboard and how to work it all, best use of it. And it's been both Courtney and I have been kind of working together to help understand so that we can use this tool to help us, the reason we purchase it, to help make decisions, help monitor our progress when we have certain campaigns and initiatives, and I'll kind of go into that. So the vendor's been great with us to help get us trained, and we're going to have monthly calls with them. He's offered to, if you wanted to kind of, once you start just getting a taste of what this can do, kind of let it sink in. I'd like quarterly to be able to give you these different types of reports that are focused on certain specific topics. The vendor has agreed he can zoom in and give a presentation as well, answer any more detailed questions that maybe I won't be able to off the top of my head. So bear with me, because we received this report. Well, we were on a call with him yesterday afternoon to kind of go to review this report, and we noticed a few things. So this report is not perfect, but the next time it will be perfect because the data is there, but it's just not reflective, and I'll speak to about what that is. But I didn't want to let that prevent me from sharing this with you, because I think it's valuable information, especially for our elected officials. Okay. So a little bit about the definitions and the methodology. Again, it's called Arrivalist. So we currently have access to 2 different products, and this report utilizes the methodology that shows movement for both travelers and locals. The foundation of this methodology is based on visiting a geofenced area called a point of interest. Each beach, for example, is mapped in this way. So when we first signed up with them, Courtney and I were able to choose different points of interest that we wanted to monitor, if you will. And it's based on cell phone data. And they said we could pick like 20 or 25, and we quickly were like exceeding that. So they were gracious enough to allow us to keep adding every single time. When the pier is done, that will be a point of interest. When the eco center is done, that'll be a point of interest. So that's what they mean by point of interest. So we asked them this report. We said, we want to understand the beaches. So diving a little deeper, and this is where it gets really deep and above my pay grade. Arrivalist data set is based on a population of U.S. adults who have agreed to share their location information through app usage. It is entirely anonymous and is fully privacy and GDPR compliant. The total size of this group represents 120 million devices, of which a smaller subset is active at any given time. In order to ensure that insights are not skewed towards one area, the data is balanced using the U.S. Census benchmarks to ensure the data is representative of the population. Did you get all that? So what we asked them to do is we have made all of the beaches a specific point of interest. So on this slide, it shows these specific county beaches. What's missing, and this is one of the things we put out, is the 16th Road beach access. And it's in there, but when we met with him yesterday, he was going to start digging as to why it didn't pull. So we're waiting for that. The other data set is, of course, Flagler Beach. And one of the points of interest that we set up in Flagler Beach is we have segmented specifically, I'll call it the boardwalk, and it's only activity that happens on the boardwalk, because when we are on the Zoom call with him, he's got a map up and he's moving the cursor and how we're telling him to go. So it is literally just the boardwalk. And we did it from North 9th Street to South 9th Street. And then the beach, only the sand will be north to kind of mirror the boardwalk. So the next time we meet again, we'll have that data to add into it, but at least this is a starting point and start to get you familiar with the dashboards and what they all mean. And the reason that I asked him this time to show beaches is because of the discussions that are happening with the joint municipalities and ways that we can look to address spreading people out more into other beaches, beach parks, letting them know that they're available. So having a foundation of data, if we start to do some specific marketing or advertising, messaging campaigns, we can kind of monitor our progress and see if it's working or not. So as we begin to look at the beachers measured for this report, we first see a comparison of time spent at these beaches on average. As expected, those who are traveling longer distances are spending more time at the beaches. So as you can see, Jungle Hut was the blue is the traveler. And this, let me back up, this time period was last fiscal year. So we did October 1 of 2022 to September 30th, 2023. So this is a year's worth of data from last fiscal year. So we can see on average, a traveler, which is a visitor, 3 hours, a local 1 hour. So ranking points of interest by time spent shows an interesting dynamic between the travelers and local. Jungle Hut represents the location with the highest time spent for travelers and one of the lowest for locals. And when we get further along in the presentation, we kind of have a hypothetical guess as to why that is. So while our hold on. Okay. So while the out-of-town visitors are spending more time at the beaches, this chart shows that locals make up a greater percentage of usage. In other words, there are more locals at these beaches than travelers in total. Both of these groups are valuable for our community as they travel differently and still spend money in the county. So looking at just out-of-town visitors, we're able to see where people who visit the beaches are traveling from most frequently. This group is a mixture of both in-state and fly markets with a focus on the Northeast. So the next few slides, another layer of this data is you're able to see what they call cross-visitation. So we want to know when you go to a specific point of interest, and in the dashboard on our end, we're able to choose any data point that we set up. So We have everything from all of the fields, the rec center, the museums, the historical museums. We have golf courses. We have the resort set up as one point of interest. We have the highway hotels set up as a point of interest, on and on. And so what we're able to then say, okay, for the people that went to Hammock Beach Resort, where else did they go and for how long? And again, this helps with our future decisions, whether in planning for marketing, advertising, or just measuring any initiatives we wanted to do. So here we can see Jungle Hut. We started with them since they were the number one. Downtown Flagler Beach. Downtown Flagler Beach is the shops and the restaurants. So the CRA plus extended all the way further to where the restaurants basically end. So downtown Flagler Beach is a point of interest within itself. And then European Village, and you can see, because remember I said they only gave us like 20 to 25 initial points of interest. We had to lump some of categories together because we're just trying to see where they're traveling around within the county. So that's why European Village, Tropical Kayak, Legacy Vacation, and St. Joe Park, that whole kind of cluster up there, they're its own point of interest. Oops. Old Salt Park. Oh, that's it. Hammock Beach Resort, obviously. So those who visit Old Salt Park or frequently visit Hammock Beach Resort, which is caused because how close they are to each other. And that's kind of what we found with Jungle Hut too, is mainly around there, a lot of the vacation rentals. River to Sea, those who visit River to Sea show similarities in visitation to other beach visitors, with accommodations in downtown Flagler Beach being the most frequently visited. Barn Park, same thing. So just in summary, here's what we can gather from those data points. Travelers spend more time at every beach in the analysis, but locals make up a larger share of the usage. Correlations between beach locations and nearby housing may also be a factor. For example, Jungle Hut, where travelers average the longest time at the beach, is close to vacation condos. Similarly, Bay Drive Park, the beach with the largest usage from locals, is surrounded more by residential areas. Traveler markets that visit the beaches in the highest volume show a mixture of in-state and fly markets. The Northeast is a key origin market for Florida in the winter and spring months and can be suggestions for target markets for marketing and promotions. Each beach shows a unique view of cross-visitation, with visitors of each beach visiting areas throughout the county in different ways. Downtown Flagler Beach and various groups of hotels are the most frequently observed points of interest, which supports that the beaches in this analysis are a launching point for visitors to explore and spend money across the county. So again, this is just a brief taste of what this tool can do for us. And again, I picked the beaches as the first one since that's our biggest, most important, most expensive asset that we have. But I will try to answer any initial questions with that, or any feedback or any suggestions of other data points you'd like to see that we can continue to monitor, and happy to sit down with anyone individually to show you all of its capabilities, because it's pretty powerful.
Yeah. Sorry.
I didn't see this in the backup. Is there a way that you could send this out to
Yes,
the members?
absolutely. Yes, I got it about 11:15 last night. That's why I was.
Got it.
Because when we met with him yesterday, when he was going through the data, I was like, "Where's Flagler Beach?" So that's one of the things we got to add to it for next time. But so we just got the presentation last night, but definitely we'll email it.
And also, what was the actual name of that study or group?
Arrivalist.
Arrivalist?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Councilman Clucas.
I think that tremendous insight. There's a lot of powerful extrapolations that you can make from this data. I look forward to what staff is able to bring forward back to us. Also, just a slight reminder to everybody out there: if you were not paying for an app, you are the product, and that's a lot where all this tracking data is coming from. I'm not saying it's an invasion of anyone's privacy or anything like that, but just be aware of that. That is coming from apps that are basically free, that are sharing all this data and correlating it together. It's extremely powerful, and I'm hopeful that this might even give insight into further leveraging the joint committee between Flagler Beach and Palm Coast. With this type of data, you can actually high level say how many people from Palm Coast are using the beaches in Flagler Beach.
That's what that was one of the most enticing parts of the product. And in fact, initially our first purchase did not include local data, but then as those conversations happen, we went back and said, hey, can you give us a quote so that we can get that extra? And they said, well, you're a great client. We'll give it to you for free.
I love to hear that. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm just continue to be amazed at the amount of data that's out there. That it's crazy.
Commissioner, can you take public comment on this?
Sure, we can open this up for public comment. Absolutely. Come on up to you have to come up to the mic, or our visitors on YouTube won't be able to hear you.
YouTube. Just to comment on this, this is a great product. I know for a fact, because we're using it in Texas and Louisiana for our tournaments, to show that if I'm at Indian Trails, that when the tournament is over, where they're going and what they're doing. So, Mr. Cooley is wanting his establishments and the bars in Flagler Beach to be, occupied and stuff. You can use this data. You can pinpoint Indian Trails for the time frame that we're there, and then it will spread out and tell you where we went. So you can actually pinpoint it for each tournament as to where these people are going and what they're doing, so that you can help us understand by saying, well, we tracked your football players and they all went to the Golden Lion or whatever. You might want to work with them a little more and see what you can do. But this data is really, really good, really helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah, we look to, in the future, build almost like profiles. So people that, amateur sports that visit the fields, what do they typically do? The people who visit our trails, what else do they do? So yeah, we're hoping to gather a lot of information for multiple purposes, and happy to share it with any of our partners. I just have two more things. One is, in case anyone didn't know, the Days Inn is no longer Days Inn. Right now, it's Palm Coast Hotel and Suites. For those of you who don't know where the Days Inn is, it's behind Home Depot. They have about 119 rooms. I met a couple weeks ago the new area sales manager and GM. They were bought by Hotel Development and Management Group out of Ocala. In Arc Hospitality. They're currently doing about $1 million in renovations. When I went out there, they were painting the inside. They're going to completely gut each floor and renovate it, and it'll be a Holiday Inn Express. Hopefully by the end of the year was their goal, all rebranding and marketing. So wanted to give everyone an update on that. Also, the last item is our office is working to coordinate dates for us to have our annual meeting. Last year we had it out at the Palm Coast Community Center, so we're working with a lot of people's schedules to make that happen. So just wanted to give you a heads up, because it will probably happen before our April meeting. But also in our April meeting, if you weren't able to make the annual State of Tourism meeting, I'll be sharing all the annual report updates at our April meeting. And that concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you. Any final questions for Ms. Lukasik on that? All right. Yes, go right ahead.
Amy, in the future, are we able to break that report down into quarters so we can look into those slow quarters that we have here, like second and third?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, again, thank you for that. At this point, we'll open the floor for public comment. So if anybody that's still here had some public comment.
A couple of items. Dave Sullivan, Palm Coast. When you were talking about the approvals for the money, you're not approving it, you're recommending it to the board.
Absolutely.
You kept saying approval, so just for the record, just to say it's recommendations. No big deal. Amy, on the legislature, I also thought there was some movement for bills to open up the TDC funds to additional uses other than tourism.
Yes.
And is there a bill that is along those lines?
Yes, there is a bill from the Senate and the House. It has not been heard and has had no movement.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
It was assigned to committee, but it's just sitting there. And it can stay seated there. Yes, they wanted to expand the use to build affordable housing, septic to sewer projects. Yeah, Lisa had the same neck jerk we get when we read this stuff, yes.
Right, and just to clarify on Commissioner Sullivan's comment, the agendas specifically say that they're recommendations, but if I didn't say that clearly, I think, obviously these are recommendations to the county commission on the funding of the 1110 event fundings. Thank you for the clarification. All right, any other public comments? All right, seeing them, we'll bring it back to our board members for their final comments. And we'll start all the way to the left, Miss Lisa.
Good morning. I am Lisa Robinson, the general manager of the Hampton by Hilton Palm Coast South. Since the last meeting, we ended our year pretty well. So we managed to get through the slower quarters that I talked about the last time. I just want to keep on emphasizing that we have to, as a group, collectively, as a city, we have to put ourselves into the spring break and the second and the third quarter, because there's no reason that we have these beautiful beaches and all this stuff, and we're not having families and people here in the summertime. It makes no sense because this is Florida. So even with travel going down, all of us have to do everything that we can to try to get it marketed so that we can keep these people employed and they can have somewhere to live and stay, the service workers. That's just my little point on that. Hotel, yes, we're under our soft renovation. We've done some, not a big one, you won't notice it, but it's just little stuff that we're doing. First quarter is always great. Everything is the highway. We're eating from Daytona, so it's all the races and all of that stuff. We do have softball and some things coming in April, but like I said, May and June are kind of dead until we go to some tournaments in July and some things in August. And I never really worry about September and that last quarter. It always does what it does for itself because it's cold everywhere else. So people are coming here. So we did notice that there were a lot of snowbirds and people here, and they had a lot of family members visit over that last quarter. So of course, maybe they didn't want them in their house. So we got a lot of local people having their family members stay with us and stuff. So we did great just based on that. And we've been doing pretty good in January in the middle because it's cold outside. So, they're the things that that we should be doing. So as well as in the summertime, being in Florida, going the opposite with this beautiful area that's so safe compared to other places that we go. I was in another meeting and somebody tried to say something about crime. Not so. I walk my dog in the dark at Town Center Park every morning. Nobody does anything to me or him, and he's only 25 pounds. He can't fight. So Palm Coast is still a place that, we love to be and we love to sell. We love to sell the beaches. We love to sell all these tournaments. We love the fact that we have all this family-friendly stuff here, but we still need to push it for spring and summer because this is one of the greatest places that a person could bring their family and have their kids be. I know a couple that moved here from Daytona because we have bike trails. Now, that is very significant if a person pays more money for a house because we have bike trails and it's safer for their kids. So those are the things that we can be proud of and, things that we can, share the experience as well. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Hey, Chairman, great job, Walter, Norm, and Forrest. Great presentation today. Thank y'all. We are looking for a new director of sales and marketing. Carrie Matruska left after about 3.5, 4 years to the trade winds in St. Pete. And so we have that out there, and we've opened up about 5 or 6 new venues at the resort. So if anybody hasn't been there lately, wants to come over, just email me or call me. And not you, Amy. You've been there. No, I'm just kidding. But thank you. No, we're just seeing a little bit of softening with leisure market. So we're just doing more group, like January, about 500 room nights short in leisure side, but just over that in group. So about flat to last January, but just watching leisure market for us right now.
Great, thank you.
Pam Walker, Walker Adventures. My market is mostly international market, and I can just tell you on averages, you all are saying that the market is down January and February. It is also internationally. For what reason, I really don't know, but starting in March, it is going gangbusters, and the rest of the year, it's crazy. It's just, I already have $1 million in sales in my pocket right now, so I'm happy about that, but it's from March on. So that's a good omen for us, I think.
Very good.
Thank
Great
you
to
for
hear.
all your good work, everybody.
Thank you. Councilman Clufus.
Sure. Nick Cluvis, City of Palm Coast. I would just like to again emphasize how we're nearing completion of the Southern Recreation Center, and you guys can all look forward to an invitation for the groundbreaking, and then hopefully I can see some of you guys also in attendance for one of the days of the USTA event that's coming in mid-February. And thank you guys for everything. Tremendous job chairing the meeting, and again, thank you to Commissioner Sullivan for his tremendous efforts throughout these years. Thank you.
Commissioner Cooley.
Right, Eric Cooley, Flagler Beach. Got a couple updates for the city. So we have quite a few projects we're looking at doing this summer, and we also have one that is currently going. I'm sure you all have seen on social media. We have the new large hotel going in right there in the center of town. That will be in Margaritaville. And this summer, the Army Corps Beach project starts, and also the Pier project are starting at the same time, because what better time to do it than all at once, apparently. And so that'll be interesting. And I think just for our partners, you know, you're going to want to just be cognizant of that with the large amount of projects happening in peak tourism season. You might see some of these folks shift to different beaches, to different accommodations. There could be an impact on that. But what is nice is, you know, we're coming up on our 100-year anniversary. Flagler Beach was founded as a city in 1925. And Flagler Beach has always been known for, all over the 100 years, been known for having a big hotel in the center of town. And it was also known for the pier. Those were the two things that Flagler Beach has always been known for. So right around the 100-year anniversary, both of those will be back and redone. So it's kind of interesting. The city's coming full circle. The hotel should be done late 24, early 25, and we're crossing our fingers that the pier will be done by the end of 25 for potentially a New Year's Eve grand opening of the pier. Let's just hope Mother Nature cooperates with that. Flagler Beach, as you saw, did a kind of an experiment, and this has a tourism and an economic development play to it, where we experimented with doing a New Year's Eve celebration, and that's the time of year that we all in this area need the most help, and it was a huge success. So potentially, you know, I think. Just from our area in the county, you know, we should, you know, just be aware of the potential of that. That could be a tourism draw, you know, if that takes off. And assuming all our projects get done on time, too.
Right.
And the last thing I got, just wanted to put it out there that Flagler Beach does a crazy event in the summertime and spring, and it involves surf dogs. And it apparently is caught on, and it's grown rapidly over the past 2 years. And it's drawn both regional and national attention and some international attention. It's also becoming a tourism draw. And just wanted to say that the new date for it will be The Hang 8 is going to be on June 8th. So that'll be the next dog surfing competition. Wanted to just give thanks to the tourism director. They participate heavily in that event. They set up a dog kissing booth. That is the Amy Lukasik special. And it's a photo opportunity with the pier in the background. And it's always a big hit. Everybody likes to have dog kissing booths, apparently. That's the thing. But so the organizers are myself and Susie Johnston. We don't pursue the grants just to avoid any conflict of interest for both government officials. And I sit on TDC, but Amy Lukasik helps a ton with marketing and, just her office with helping with the promos. And the organizers of Hang 8 basically have no idea what they're doing, so we use a lot of help from the tourism office. And so we definitely appreciate it. And we look forward to keeping you all busy with that event. And that's all I got.
Thank you for that update. Ms. Cook?
Hello, Felicia Cook, Marineland Dolphin Adventure. We're kind of right there with Stephen as far as, luxury, leisure. It's a little soft right now. So, but we're doing fine over there in Marineland. Our beaches are absolutely beautiful. River to Sea is completely open. And just impressed with what got done with it to be able to invite people back out to it again. Other than that, we're looking forward to a busy spring break. I'm positive that Lisa and all of her rooms will be sending people our way and keep A1A busy.
Thank you very much. I'll just finish with a couple of things. One, housekeeping. In reviewing the agendas with Ms. Lukasik, was noticing 2, 3, and 4, which is minutes, financial reports, and marketing reports. We take them individually. I didn't know if there was any. I had talked about maybe pulling those together into a consent item, a single one to approve, but it's been going one way, so I don't want my first suggestion to wrinkle any feathers. But if y'all enjoy having those read into the record as opposed to talking them with staff directly, if you had any questions, is there an objection to pulling those together just to consolidate? Okay, all right.
Chair Dance?
Yes,
So
sir.
just for clarity, it would almost work, say, potentially like a consent agenda where if there's questions or concerns about a particular one, we could just
You could
pull
pull
for
it,
discussion.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. And then I appreciate all of our partners here staying all the way to the end and for your discussions. I know 2 of you are using county facilities. So please, if there's anything that you notice, you probably have good relationships with our with park staff, but want to make sure that we have good open communications with you to address any of the needs that you have out at the fields so that we can be proactive. And really, I think the focus on trying to pull some alternative destinations off the beach. I know we have our continuing meeting later today to talk about a lot of those issues. My discussions with other groups out there point to the fact that we're on a good path with the ecotourism and the trails expansion. It's and as I talked about the people coming to the Hammock Resort, I know the scenic A1A corridor is a good place. So if you see any connectivity issues out in the hammock or areas of concern on bike paths or pedestrian paths, let us know and we can address those to make sure that remains a nice draw for people that come in. That's all I have. I appreciate working with everybody. It's great to be here. Look forward to adding to the discussion and thank you all for your service.
Commissioner,
And
may I
that-
just?
Yes.
I remembered something that Miss Lisa had asked about.
Sure.
On our website under partner resources, there is a tab that has monthly data reports. So at any time, you were able to see each one of these has its own set of data. So we put the marketing report, and this is part of our strategic item for transparency. So it's trying to pull it up here. Let me pull it over. So every month we have the revenue occupancy. We have the hotel and resort snapshot, which is from the Smith Travel, but then we have the Star Report version for vacation rentals, where it pulls from Airbnb and VRBO. We have that data as well. But I know what you're talking about, and that is on my list to have a dashboard now as part of the packet as well. So thank you for that.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
That was all. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, if that's it, we'll go ahead and take a motion for adjournment. That completes our work for today. Thank you again. Motion by Mr. Clufus.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cooley. All those in favor, signify with aye. Y'all have a great day, and thanks again.